Hi, I'm Kia, and here's my super quick 2025 summer craft vlog. Starting us off with my first mini project, which is a beaded frame for my Godzilla poster that I got from Rad Jinja at SwampCon last year. I really love the color, so I bought it, but I've never got around to hanging it in my room as I really wanted to make it a matching frame. One thing I really wanted to focus on was making sure that the colors of the frame match the poster, which you can see I'm checking here. It was a little difficult as I had left the poster at my apartment over the summer and I was purely basing it off of this digital image and guessing where the colors should be around. You'll also see later that I used the size dimensions on the site, but I completely forgot that I bought the smaller of the two posters, which left a little gap between the poster and the actual frame, but I'm not too upset about that. Here's some more footage of the process itself. Essentially, I just started out with some plain cardboard from an old box and then I cut it into the shape of a frame, and then I began to hot glue beads onto it. I really tried to use a variety of different size and shape beads just to keep everything interesting, and after finishing all of the final details, I took this very scenic drive back to my apartment to finally see the frame and the poster put together for the first time. Before moving on to my next mini project, I really wanted to show some clips from this museum my friend took me to, as I think I'm going to be drawing a lot of inspiration from some of the pieces here in the future. These lamps specifically caught my eye, and then these little teeny bugs were really cute. This is kind of random, but I also got myself a trinket while I was at a mall. This is the Lulu Lucky Fortune Piggy. And I got the Romance Master, which was super cute, so I was happy about that. Okay, for my next mini project, I drew this Hangyodan with crayons, and I really wanted to do a matching frame as well, similar to the one that I did for the Godzilla poster. I essentially did the same steps. I started with cutting the cardboard and then gluing the beads. So here I am marking out the spots for where I was going to cut and how big I was going to make the frame. And then look at how cute this box cutter is from Miniso. It's a little bunny. I'm really happy with it because it's actually pretty sharp. I was worried about it not being sharp enough because it was super cheap, but it does quite a good job. This one I was really happy with as I had a lot of Hangyodan colored beads, so color matching wasn't an issue here. Also, side note, these frames ended up surprisingly heavy. I didn't expect such little beads to be so heavy, but the cardboard was just thick enough to avoid too much creasing while transferring it and moving around and trying to hang it, but it was quite bendy because of how heavy the beads were on top. Alright, as for my materials, most of these beads can be found at local craft stores. The pony beads, buttons, and a lot of my bigger seed beads came in these grid cases or tubes from Hobby Lobby, which I really recommend looking on their weekly sales as they're a lot cheaper to buy. I got my super small seed bead pack from Walmart, which you can see in that cylinder and then in these little containers, which I really liked for its variety of colors rather than buying the individual tubes from Hobby Lobby, which are a lot more expensive and you have to pick specific colors. I just got a good wide variety of different colors. More intricate beads like the fish and toucans are from Michaels, however those are definitely on the more expensive side. They're around I think they were like $10 per string, so they definitely have some really cute ones. They're just a lot more expensive. For the purple flower appliques and then the iridescent sequins, I got those both from the Repurpose Project, which is like a creative or art thrift store, which I really love as they're super cheap, A, and B, I can get a lot of secondhand little trinkets and then beads and confetti and stuff. These frames, I estimated it took around 4 to 8 hours of actual working time. I really just seem to like beading, clearly, but my favorite thing is definitely the different sizes and colors and shapes of the bead, which is why I think I like doing something like this more than, say, in comparison to like a diamond dot type of craft. It's also just a lot easier for my hands to pick up the bigger, chunkier beads with tweezers. Speaking of tweezers, I would highly recommend actually using them. For a lot of these clips, you can obviously see that I'm using the tweezers for like the seed beads. For some of these bigger beads, I did end up trying to just use my hands and place them down on a glob of hot glue, and I did end up burning myself a couple of times, so I would highly recommend using the tweezers. After some thought, I did end up beading Hangyodan and some of the other details on the drawing itself. For that, I just individually placed an outline of the beads for the different colors, and then I would just put a glob of hot glue in the middle and then use a spoon to spoon in the seed beads in the middle to fill it in. Oh, and there's my Hangyodan headband. I don't really have much other commentary on this one, so I'll just let you enjoy the time lapse. After all that, I hung it up on another wall in my room for some decoration to make my walls less boring. And if you made it to the end, thank you for watching. This was a pretty short vlog as I was working and doing classes the majority of the summer, but I'm really glad I got to try some new beaded crafts this summer. Bye bye!